It's like, especially even if you're recommending my book or my website, most of the people that you're going to recommend it to are going like, yeah, it's a great idea. I need to do that. I need to check that guy's website. I need to get that book. I'm going to do that tomorrow. And a week later you talk to him, nah, man, I need to do that. I need to get around to that. 10 years from now, that dude will be saying the same thing. That's what I'm talking about. It's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And when it comes to self-help, it really boils down to if that person's not open to it, if they're not ready, willing, able, if they haven't gotten to a place in their life, whether it's their career's not working, or their relationship's not working, or they're not having very much success in their dating life, or they're not very happy, they don't know what their purpose is in life, unless they feel like they've kind of hit rock bottom, or they've just gotten to a place where they're like, that's it, I'm over it. And like if you're watching this video, you got to a place in your life where you just said, you know what I'm doing is not working, and I got a knowledge gap, and I need to fill in that knowledge gap. I need to figure out what I'm missing, and then start applying what I learned so I can get the kind of results in my life. You got to a place in your life where you said, that's it. I've had enough of this bullshit. This is not acceptable. I need to move forward. And that's great. If you suggest something like mine or somebody else's book that's self-help related, and you're like, or they keep saying, oh yeah, I'm going to get around to that, and they never do, it's like, you can't help those people. They're not open to it. And you just frustrate yourself trying to help people that don't want the help. It's like somebody taught me this many, many years ago. It was another coach. It's like, and when it comes to doing what I do, don't care more about your clients' lives than they care about their own lives. And it's true. It's like your friends and your family, people who you look at, you can tell the way they're going about things is fucked, and you know a way that would be a lot easier for them. If they're not ready, if they're not open to it, you're just going to frustrate yourself. In other words, caring more about their lives than they care, you're going to make yourself miserable. And why do that to yourself? Spend your life with people who are striving for greatness, just like you, who are striving at either one point in their life or they're presently dealing with haters. In other words, people that are, in essence, projecting their own self-hatred, self-loathing, their own weaknesses onto you, which is really just masking the fact that they're envious, or they want to be you, or they fear that you're better than them. Because the world seems to never have a shortage of weak people, and weak people who are people, in essence, who are too weak to follow their own dreams. Guess what? They're always going to find a reason to discourage yours. And when you have goals, you have dreams, especially when you start applying the kinds of things that you're learning from me, obviously your friends and your family are going to notice this. They're going to notice a change. They're going to notice a change in the way you carry yourself. They're going to notice a change in the tone of your voice. They're going to notice a change in just your body language, your physiology. And people around you, especially when you really start striving for your goals and your dreams, you start pursuing the things that you want, the things that you're passionate about, and you start moving in that direction, and you start kind of moving away from your friends, your family, your peer group that you normally spend a lot of time with. Some of those people are going to fear that they're going to lose you, because the average person, let's face it, most people in this world just are not living up to their potential, and they're not reaching for it, they're not striving for it, because they have a whole host of excuses and reasons why things are not in the cards for them. And when they see somebody that's in their peer group doing something to better themselves and improve their life or their situation, that person in essence becomes like a giant mirror, a giant reflection back to them. In other words, they look at it and they go, well, if you're so successful, it's a reflection to them of how they're not successful. And so that if they can discourage you, if they can get you to give up on striving for the things that you want, all order remains in their universe, in their world, and therefore they don't have to do anything. But if you go and you stretch and you move away from them and you eventually succeed, then obviously they're going to personally feel bad about themselves. And since they don't like to feel bad about themselves, that's where the old saying comes from: misery loves company. In other words, like attracts like, even miserable people. So if you have a lot of miserable people in your life, or people that just are not doing anything to help themselves or participate in their own rescue or reach their full potential, they're not going to like you doing that, because it makes them feel uncomfortable. It reflects back to them of how they're not living up to their own potential in life. And that's why it's so important that you have a vision and you have a mission for your life, something that you want to create, a purpose that you, if you're a man, a purpose that you want to fulfill, even if you're a woman. You got to have something that you're going to do for a living, whether you're raising babies or you have a career and you're raising babies on top of that. There's not a one-size-fits-all in the world when it comes to relationships or family or raising kids. I mean, there's plenty of people that are successful now, plenty of very successful women that are saying, hey, you know what, all these relationships I've had over the years are great, but I'd really like to have kids. And so instead of waiting to meet Mr. Perfect to have children with, they're just going out and adopting kids on their own and starting their own families without the guy in their life. And it's cool that people have the ability to do that these days. I mean, 100 years ago, that would have been unheard of. But these days, where women have the same kind of freedom to pursue a career and pursue dreams and pursue things that make them happy, they're not so much dependent upon a man to provide their income, their food, roof over the head, provide for their children. Women can go out and they potentially have the same kind of earning potential as men do. So I've got an email here from a guy who's been following me for a while, and he's made some changes in his life, but now he's starting to get some pushback from his family. And this is something that I dealt with very early on in my life. In my family, the way we grew up, it was constant ridicule, constantly making fun of each other, putting each other down, cutting each other down. And there was no hugs, there were no I love yous. And so you're basically getting ignored, or you're being put down and made fun of. And so, like, for me, I remember as I got older, I just got to the point where I just didn't tell my parents what I was doing or what I was up to or what I was going to achieve or what I was going to accomplish, because usually they didn't have anything positive to say. When I started my real estate companies in the 90s, I quit my job working for a very stable company, the largest part of the largest construction company in the world at the time in the 90s. And I remember he didn't have a positive word of encouragement to say about that. He thought it was reckless of me to quit my job and borrow 50 grand of my credit cards, which it was. But the bottom line is it was done. I'd already quit and left the job, and I was already working. I was just sharing my excitement with what I was doing. And obviously, knowing now what I know, like my dad is just looking from the perspective, I don't want my son to suffer here. I don't want him to be disappointed, so let me just go ahead and destroy his dreams right now and tell him, how foolish it is and how it's never going to work out, because I don't want my son to experience disappointment. And I remember saying to my dad, it's like, Dad, I love you, but if you don't have something positive to say, if you're not going to stand behind me, if you don't think it's great, if you're not excited for me, I don't really want to hear it. I mean, sometimes you got to say that. Sometimes you got to say, Mom, Dad, I love you, but please mind your fucking business, in a nice but firm way that lets them know that they're stepping over the boundary here. Especially this goes for who you date, the women that you have in your life, the women you're married to, or women that you happen to be dating. If you're going to be in a relationship, you've got to, or even when you're dating, you've got to make sure that the women that you're dating have something positive to say. They think it's exciting and interesting and fascinating that you do what you do, and they encourage you. You want a woman in your life that's a cheerleader. If you're going to be dating, you want somebody that's got positive things to say, because as a man, if you're doing something Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be the clueless, creepy stalker. Well, I've got an email for you today, and it is a fucking doozy. This is definitely facepalm material. And you say, what the hell's a facepalm, Corey? It's one of these. Oh man, you didn't do that, dude. Come on. Yeah, it's one of those. But this particular guy met a girl, and this is like every woman's biggest nightmare, is coming across a guy who does these things. And it's interesting, the self-talk that this guy goes through and thinking, hey, this is totally rational, this is totally normal and acceptable type of behavior. And his logic that he tells himself makes sense, obviously, but when you look at what he actually does, what he actually says, and how other people perceive the things that he's doing, it freaks him out. This is definitely not something you want to do in real life, or you'll get your ass thrown in jail, you'll get maced, or you get a father that just beats your ass because he's protecting his little girl. So I got a quote that I wrote on this topic, and then we're going to go through this particular guy's email. And this guy is like, he's a horrible pickup artist. He really needs to work on his game. His problem is he gets attached and hung up on a girl that he likes, but he ignores the fact that she's not interested, and he proceeds to like continue showing up, trying to make a coincidence happen, Bakes.
Okay, hey guys, it's Debbie, and Heather and I are going to, where exactly? We're going to go to the 24-hour Walmart because we are out of tape, and she wants another pair of scissors. We have got an entire half of a closet to wrap of presents, and we pretty much do this every year, but she came over and we were just like, she was like, I'm not sleeping. I was like, well, okay, whatever. So we changed the chamomile tea to, all we had was some green tea. But anyway, and I wanted to interrupt and just say, Heather was sitting here whenever I was over in RD's chat room. And listen, we understand people like Pimp Hat. Pimp Hat hates me, which by definition makes him a hater. And I think it's pathetic. I think it's sad because it's just somebody that is obsessed with somebody else. And it's usually just like this guy said perfectly. And I never knew about this guy until, I forget how he worded it, but he said, no, go ahead. No, just maybe 1 minute. I think he said something like, when people act like that and throw hate at you, it's usually, no, it's pretty much always because you are living a life that they know they'll never be able to live. And I feel horrible fighting back with him, but it's just, I think mainly because Heather was sitting there and she was like, just really freaking out about the guy. And she was like, what is he saying? And I was like, I know he's crazy, but it's just, it's just really sad. And what was I going to say? I was going to say one more thing. I forgot. And I look at the people that hang around me, and I look at the people that hang around other people, and they're just a bunch of trolls. And the people that hang around me are not trolls. They're good guys that are married or have great lives going on. And I'm really excited about that. And I look back on the year that I've had here on Spreaker, and I'm very pleased with it. I love the guys that hang out with me, and I'm glad I'm not surrounded by a bunch of hateful trolls that lie and are jealous, and they're just nasty people. Hold on just a second. I don't have a key for that. Wait, hold on. Well, I'm going to go ahead and hang up. I mean, not hang up, but I'm going to go ahead and stop the show. But, okay. She's going to go ahead and go get the car. I just can't remember how this guy worded it. He worded it perfectly, though. He said
Says
something. Let me
on
see
to you, which is really just masking the fact that they're envious, or they want to be you, or they fear that you're better than them. Because the world seems to never have a shortage of weak people, and weak people who are people, in essence, who are too weak to follow their own dreams. Guess what? They're always going to find a reason to discourage yours. And when you have goals, you have dreams, especially when you start applying the kinds of things that you're learning from me, obviously your friends and your family are going to notice this. They're going to notice a change. They're going to notice.
That was it. You have to look at it like this, okay? When somebody is as focused on somebody as that person is with me, that's really fucked up. I mean, if you think about it. I mean, I'm not that focused on them. And that's why I kept putting Debbie, because to me, that's the way I look at it with them. It's like, oh my God, that's all this guy thinks about. And everything he says is so cute and so fun and it's such a lie. Oh, you owe taxes and you don't have a job and you don't make any money. I mean, he's just trolling. He's a troll. That's all he is. And I was just bouncing back and having some fun with him, because he's just like a little bug that needs to be squashed. And this guy's true. This guy's right. Everybody that makes sense says it's just all based in jealousy. It is. Because if this guy were successful and happy and had a nice life, he wouldn't be doing that. That's the bottom line, is if he were truly happy and had a great job and a great family and a great life, he would not be doing what he does. That's the bottom line. Bottom line. I don't care who you are. I don't care how you try to word it. That's the bottom line. Is if this guy was happy, he wouldn't be saying the things that he's saying about me. Because guys that are happy and have not happy but just content, like you would never catch my husband doing that to somebody, saying those words, because he's content. He's got a nice family, a nice life. He's got everything. And this person is a very sad individual. And it makes me feel bad. It really does. It makes me feel very, very sad for him, because he must live a miserable life. I mean, think about it. To put out that much hate, that's just sad. So we are off to the 24-hour Walgreens if we don't get murdered on the way. So that's it. I will talk to you guys probably, what is tomorrow? Well, actually it's today, Tuesday. Yeah, I'm sure when Heather and I get back, we'll probably keep wrapping until we get it all done. And then we'll probably pass out for a while, because she doesn't have a little man and I don't have to be anywhere till next Tuesday. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks again for all the great guys that showed up on my show tonight.